Hey everyone, this is Chris Crazy House, and I want to talk about this story where this writer, this Batman writer for DC, tried to cancel and get people to fire legendary comic book artist Jay Lee. Now, first of all, let me just give a big shout out to the brother Shawn James for doing a video about this same subject, and he's the one that I got a lot of information from, and I appreciate that from Sean. He's absolutely right. I will post a link to his video in the description so you can watch his video as well. It's a little bit longer than this one, but just giving you the short of it, the Batman writer Thomas King, or just Tom King, decided to get on social media. I believe he got on Twitter and said that the artist Jay Lee did a, what do you call it? He just did a extra cover for the Rorschach series that Tom King is working on, and Tom King does not like that because Jay Lee also has done covers for a project called Cyberfrog, and apparently, according to Tom King, the creator of Cyberfrog is part of this whole Comicsgate thing, where, for those who don't know what Comicsgate is, this is apparently a group of both creators and fans who are accused by the comic book community of being bigoted, racist, sexist, and every type of ism you can think of. Okay, they're just an evil little cabal of deviants who don't want any type of change to come to their comic books, right? So Tom King accused Jay Lee of being part of this group just because he did a work for hire cover for someone who might be associated with Comicsgate. So it's very funny to me. And the reason it's funny to me is you have someone like Tom King doing this, attacking, like I said, a legendary artist like Jay Lee. For those who don't know, Jay Lee was one of my favorite artists back in the day during the early 90s. And he's one of those artists who actually has matured a lot as an artist since then. He started out with one style and has kind of evolved into a completely different style of artwork now. I liked his work back when he was just doing backup stories and Youngblood Strike File and Wildcats and X-Men, and moving right along to doing full-on covers and whole issues of different books. I really liked his work on Ultimate Fantastic Four. I thought that was a great story where they introduced the Inhumans into the Ultimate Universe. I thought that was some of the best art he's done. But, you know, this is the new way of things, I guess, where the comic book industry, or just entertainment in general, has become just like the communist witch hunts they used to have during the 1950s in Hollywood, where everyone that was accused of being a communist could be brought to trial and accused of something. But this one, they don't even bring you to trial. They just accuse you and you get attacked, and you can possibly lose your job over something you might not even know about. So Tom King put this out on social media, and Jay Lee was in the middle of literally burying his dead dog when this happened. So he wasn't even on social media. He said he doesn't even like Twitter. He just likes to draw. He barely goes on social media at all. So he doesn't know what Comicsgate is. He doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes, who's on what side, whatever. He's in the middle of burying his dog when all of a sudden his phone blows up with people talking about messing up his career, or people calling him a bigot and everything else because he decided to do a work for hire cover for this comic book. And like I said, I mean, well, listen, these guys, they do this work based on how they can get paid. I mean, if you're not getting paid to work, how are you supposed to make a living? So if someone comes to you and say, hey, I got some money here, would you do a variant cover for my comic book, or do one of the main issue covers for my comic book? Here's some money, I can afford you. Even though you're a big time artist, I can afford you. Of course they're going to do it. So it's not that big of a deal. So Jay Lee came out and said that, I don't even know what Comicsgate is. And, you know, I don't know, I'm not involved in any nonsense, any bigotry. I'm burying my dog now. I'm going through a tough time in my family. I'm trying to spend some time with my lady. And I get all these people attacking me for no reason. And I can understand his frustration in that. 'Cause I've dealt with the very same thing on social media where people are attacking you. You don't even know what's going on. You've been attacked, buried, people have slandered your name, and there's like a whole thing going on. And you just wake up the next day and you've been torn down and torn to shreds before you even have a time or a second to defend yourself. And it's sickening. And the fact that Tom King would do this, that was a bitch move in what he did. Now he claims he apologized to Jae Lee. He claims that he had a talk with Jae Lee and everything is good. And Jae Lee made sure to tell everyone, no, it's not good. Because what you've done is you've done damage to my career. You know, you just sent out a complete lie around the world, around the globe in less than no time at all. Just as quick as it takes to type something, and you've done damage. And for no reason. You didn't even know what the scenario was. And if he did really have a problem with Jae Lee, all he had to do was give him a call or contact him. If he had his number to apologize, why didn't he contact him in the first place? And then for Tom King to even go on and say, well, I'm going to call the publishers or the editors at DC and see about this. So you're literally messing with his career trying to get this man fired for something you perceive that he did wrong. So I was seeing all this stuff about it, and I saw Jae Lee's name, so that's what made me pay attention to this story. Because, like I said, he was one of my favorite artists back in the day, so I wanted to see what was going on with him and why people were calling him a bigot or accusing him of being a bigot. And obviously, I was able to decipher that he did nothing wrong at all. He did a work for hire cover, nothing degrading, nothing that hurt anybody. But like I said, when you have knuckleheads out here like Tom King, and apparently this guy is a former CIA agent. That piqued my interest too. If Tom King is former CIA, that means he might be just stirring the pot because that's all he knows how to do. That was his former job description, is causing chaos and getting dirt on people and just putting people out there to be massacred. So maybe he's just doing the same thing in the comic book industry, just sowing disinformation. That's all CIA agents do, really, and sow misinformation. And someone brought up a good point that if Tom King is accusing somebody of working with bad people, quote unquote, the CIA has worked with some of the worst people in history, from terrorists to dictators to people who torture, rape, and kill children. It's like, do you really want to jump into that briar patch of calling someone bad because of who they're associated with, and you used to work for one of the biggest criminal organizations on planet Earth, selling drugs, killing people, and everything else? Is that what you really want to do, Tom King? So someone brought that point. I was like, that's a great point. Because, I mean, really, you have no right to call out anybody. You should be quiet, really, in that situation. If you want to talk about associates. So anyway, like I said, and Jae Lee is not even really associated with these people. He just, like I said, did a cover for someone's comic book. He can't help what the writer is politically linked with. He can't help that. He saw an opportunity to do a book cover, and he did it and got paid for it. It's fair exchange. But you got these idiots out here who make more of it than that. And, you know, what's even funnier about this whole thing is you have in Tom King, who is a white male, who is using his power and influence to cancel and get an Asian man fired from his job. Isn't that funny? You claim, Tom King, to want to fight bigotry and to be against racism and everything else, but you're using your white maleness to tear down and destroy a minority in this country. I believe Jae Lee is Korean, if I'm not mistaken. So you're using your white male power to fight bigotry by taking away the job of a Korean man. That's hilarious. There's so much irony in that. You almost can't stand it. I call it one of those politically correct conundrums that these SJWs and liberals get themselves tied up into. where they wind up destroying the thing they claim to protect. You guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. Once again, thanks again to Shawn James for putting this story out there. I found it very interesting and funny at the same time. Anyway, Chris Crazy House signing out. Peace.